America's Pacific paradise consists of far more than the vacation destinations most people recognize. While travelers typically envision Hawaii as a handful of tropical islands, the reality encompasses an extraordinary geological phenomenon stretching across thousands of miles of ocean. What you're about to discover will completely change how you understand this remarkable archipelago. The creation of Hawaii's island stems from a powerful geological furnace beneath the Pacific Ocean that has been generating molten rock for more than 85 million years. As this stationary heat source and the ocean floor drift past each other, the continuous volcanic activity creates a sequence of islands that gradually weather into coral formations before disappearing below the ocean's surface. The primary Hawaiian islands represent the most recent formations in this sequence: Hawaii's Big Island, then Maui, Oahu, and Kauaʻi. These islands become increasingly ancient and volcanically dormant as you travel toward the northwest. The original Hawaiian people understood this geological progression, telling stories of the fire goddess Pele beginning her journey at the chain's older northern islands, traveling southward through the archipelago before finally making her home on Kilauea, which remains the Big Island's most active volcanic site today. Before we explore the remote atolls, let's examine the well-known islands first. Hawaii's Big Island encompasses 63% of the archipelago's total landmass and houses more than 200,000 residents. This massive island consists of 5 interconnected volcanoes, 3 currently active, 1 permanently inactive, and 1 sleeping. Mauna Kea, the tallest and currently dormant peak, is often regarded as Earth's highest mountain, reaching over 30,000 feet or 9,300 meters when calculated from its underwater foundation. Maui ranks as the second island in the chain and second in size, featuring another active volcanic peak, Haleakala. 3 smaller landmasses sit east of Maui: Molokai, which houses the small Kalawao County along its northern coastline; Lanai, controlled almost completely by technology mogul Larry Ellison; and Kahoʻolawe, Hawaii's biggest unpopulated island, previously utilized as a weapons testing ground. These 4 landmasses collectively constitute Maui County. Roughly 500,000 years in the past, all 4 existed as one massive landmass that scientists call Maui Nui, or Greater Maui, but natural weathering, land settling, and rising ocean levels have divided them into separate islands over time. Following in the sequence is Oahu, the archipelago's most densely populated landmass, housing more than 1 million inhabitants. Oahu serves as the location for Honolulu, Hawaii's governmental center since 1850, through its various political phases as a monarchy, short-lived republic, American territory, and current statehood. Oahu's Pearl Harbor functions as the command center for the U.S. Pacific Naval Forces, and gained international notoriety when Japanese forces launched their assault in 1941, drawing America into the Second World War. Kauaʻi and adjacent Niʻihau represent the final major landmasses in the island sequence. Kauaʻi's monarch Kamaʻehuakanaloa stood as the final regional leader to yield to Hawaii's King Kamehameha in 1810, and remarkably in 1815 attempted to place his territory under Russian-American Company protection, the same commercial organization that controlled present-day Alaska. Niʻihau remains under private ownership and restricts access to the general public. Given that the primary Hawaiian landmasses become more ancient and diminished in size as you travel northwest, you would logically anticipate discovering even more aged and tinier islands extending further in that direction. It happens that this assumption is absolutely accurate. These are known as the Northwestern Hawaiian chain, and they represent the remains of ancient Hawaiian hotspot volcanic formations that have largely, though not entirely, submerged beneath the ocean's surface. The oceanic regions surrounding these landmasses receive protection under the Papahanaumokuakea Marine National Monument, created in 2006 and enlarged in 2016. Nearly all of these formations belong to Hawaii State, falling under the administrative control of Honolulu's city and county. The single exception happens to be the most well-known among these islands, Midway Atoll, location of a significant World War II naval engagement. Midway operates as an independent U.S. territory currently managed by the Fish and Wildlife Service. Its previous military runway, Henderson Field, now functions as a backup landing strip for cross-Pacific aviation. The contemporary Hawaiian designations for the Northwestern Hawaiian chain stem, partially from spoken cultural heritage and partially from descriptive titles reflecting each island's characteristics. As an example, Midway carries the alternative names Kwaihalani, referencing a legendary airborne island from mythology, or Pihimanu, alluding to the abundant avian population. Archaeological research validates that Hawaiians maintained connections with these remote locations. Niʻihau, the most southeastern formation, supported continuous Hawaiian settlement from approximately 1400 to 1800 CE. The adjacent formation, known as Necker Island or Mokumanamana, received regular Hawaiian visits for ceremonial purposes, where they deposited numerous cultural objects. The French frigate shoals, called Lalo in Hawaiian, constitute the subsequent and most extensive coral formation in the sequence, positioned primarily beneath the water's surface while featuring some elevated terrain, including a prominent central volcanic peak. This formation's European designation originates from its initial inclusion on Western charts by French navigator Jean-François de la Pérouse, who nearly wrecked his naval vessels on these dangerous reefs. This coral formation additionally served as the assembly location for a 1942 Japanese aerial assault on Oahu, utilizing twin seaplanes. Following in sequence are the Gardner Pinnacles, known as Puhahonu, representing the sole surface projections of Earth's most massive shield volcano by total volume. Although these rocky peaks span fewer than 6 acres, the underlying Puhahonu volcanic formation encompasses approximately 150,000 cubic kilometers of stone. Morrow Reef, called Kauaʻi, reveals certain terrain during low water levels, though the subsequent genuine island formation is Laysan, or Kauaʻi. Laysan features an extremely salty lake at its core, creating it as a sanctuary for avian species. This formation underwent guano extraction during the final decades of the 1800s and initial years of the 1900s, while non-native species severely damaged its natural environment. Following extensive rehabilitation efforts spanning multiple decades, Laysan has returned to being an extraordinary bird habitat, housing the planet's most endangered waterfowl species. Lisiansky Island, called Papa'apoho, shares environmental characteristics with Laysan, as both constitute coral atoll formations. Around 1904, plume hunters initiated systematic raids targeting the island's bird populations. President Theodore Roosevelt designated Lisiansky as part of an avian preserve in 1909. However, the plume hunters disregarded this directive until federal enforcement officers apprehended them in 1910. Pearl and Hermes Atoll, known as Holoʻikawawa, sits positioned between Lisiansky and Midway, encompassing merely 80 acres of elevated terrain, featuring small land masses that constantly appear and disappear from the surrounding coral structure. Following our examination of Midway, which we've previously covered, we arrive at the final formation in the sequence, Kure Atoll, called Mokupapapa. Kure represents the most northern coral formation on Earth, positioned near the hypothetical Darwin Point, representing the lowest temperature threshold where coral organisms can develop more rapidly than they naturally sink or deteriorate. Kure sits more than 1,600 miles from the distant edge of the Big Island, and remarkably Kure lies somewhat nearer to Alaska's Amatignac Island compared to its distance from the Big Island's remote tip. Past Kure, the ancient volcanic formations of the Hawaiian thermal plume create the Emperor Seamounts, an underwater mountain range extending toward the Pacific's boundary, with none presently rising above the ocean surface. Several additional formations beyond the Hawaiian island sequence held political connections to Hawaii during its monarchical and territorial periods, encompassing Johnston and Palmyra atolls, currently American territories, and possibly Sikeyana within the Solomon Islands. However, there exists one additional formation we must discuss within Hawaii proper, the upcoming Hawaiian landmass. Kamaʻehuakanaloa, previously called Lo'ihi, represents a submerged volcanic formation slightly under 1 kilometer beneath the ocean surface, located off the southeastern shoreline of Hawaii's Big Island. This volcano's previous scientific designation translates to long, describing its physical form, whereas its present name derives from ancient Hawaiian songs, translating to Red Child of Kanaloa, a marine deity, which appears appropriate for an expanding underwater volcanic formation. This formation certainly takes its time reaching the surface. Scientists anticipate it will emerge as a new Hawaiian landmass sometime within 10,000 to 100,000 years in the future. Therefore, these formations, ranging from globally recognized to virtually unknown and from prehistoric to currently developing, demonstrate the vibrant geological narrative of this Pacific region and all the inhabitants and wildlife that call it home. The entire Hawaiian island system narrates an epic spanning from ancient geological epochs to the current moment, illustrating that our world continues as an active, constantly evolving environment where fresh terrain persistently rises from the ocean, while aged landmasses gradually sink into the depths. Comprehending Hawaii's complete extent requires acknowledging that this tropical paradise stretches well beyond the tourist locations most visitors recognize. It includes an enormous oceanic wilderness, an active geological research site, and a heritage landscape linking prehistoric times with the far-off future. Through investigating the full Hawaiian island system, we uncover not merely concealed formations, but concealed realities about the ever-changing world we collectively inhabit.